Akame ga Kill. Now this is a 24 episode series, and episode 1 starting today or tomorrow, I guess, depending on where your time zone is. And this has got a lot of hype behind it. And I gotta say, before I give my impressions of the episode itself, I gotta say I was a bit wary about the sort of hype around it. I mean, it's a shonen, but at the same time it looks gory. And I mean, how do you play into that? I mean, shonen has its gore here and there, but you can't have a continuously gory shonen. It just doesn't work. And you know, with the role of assassins as main characters, gore tends to happen. And so yes, anyway, on to the review. Now with a big studio like White Fox, which has made things like Steins Gate, for example, which was, you know, an amazingly animated anime for sure, and it was adapted quite well, I had pretty high expectations for what this would look like. And upon watching the first episode, it was sort of, I'd say in some circumstances it delivered, and in others I felt a little bit left out. Now, if we start at the beginning of the episode, we're introduced to Tatsumi, and he is a guy who is quite skilled, and he is on his way to the Imperial Palace so he can become a soldier and save his village, and it all sounds very shonen to start with. He gets there, he gets robbed, it's still sounding very shonen, and then bad things are happening to him, and all of a sudden he gets picked up by this girl, and she takes him back to their place, and so he can stay the night instead of, you know, dying out in the cold at night. And she, you know, they're all very nice, and all of a sudden all these assassins show up and they start slaughtering the family, and you don't really know what's going on, because at the start of this, you know that this big assassins group, you go in there with the mindset that these assassins are the main characters, and they don't really look like good people. And, you know, good people, or at least semi-good people, are usually the main characters in anime. And it was a little bit confusing, and then you realised why these assassins are killing the rich people. And you find out that they have actually been killing just passerbys and people for fun and torturing them. And it's really messed up, and I gotta say, it really nailed it, because I was very surprised by that. I did not see that coming. And what was even bigger surprise was to find out that his two friends, I think it was Sawyer, and I can't remember the guy's name, but they even looked like they were going to play a bigger role. When I first was watching the episode, I'm thinking, oh, okay, so all of a sudden, you know, that maybe him and his friends will join the assassin group and they'll go do assassin things, and, you know, they'll live happily ever after. But no, despite the fact they even got that bit of minor character development here and there, like when he was thinking about the things that his friends do and it was having little flashbacks in the mind, it worked out a little bit differently and very brutally, and they died. And that was pretty impressive for me, actually, because I did not see that coming. And I think that was the most standout bit of the episode, and that is what gave me interest, and I think that is why I'll keep reviewing it and I'll keep watching it accordingly. Now, the best part of the way this premise is now set up is that we now have a character with a motivation, and it's not just your typical motivation, I'm going to go save everyone, I'm going to be the hero, I'm going to be the strongest, yada yada yada. It still sort of is that sort of situation, but at the same time it's not, because he understands pain, he knows pain, and he has a drive, he has a motivation, and he has a reason to kill lots and lots of people and not really care about doing it. And I think that is what's going to make this series very interesting. If you had a quick look at the assassins, we don't really know their names. We know a few of them. We see the main girl there, and she's a single sword, badass looking girl. And I think she'll be quite interesting, and obviously MC and her will be referenced to be paired up, but you know, that's just typical. And of course we'll see that come into a bit more light, so I'm interested to see lots of the characters. But here is my main criticism of the series. Now, as I said earlier, this is technically a shonen series, and as you know, there's only so much sort of dark themes and so much gore and things you can publish in a shonen magazine because of their typical target audience of mid to older teenagers, and you know, a bit of younger teenagers as well. And they don't really handle that kind of content, and that's just not really what they're trying to do. Now, when you've got this, you've got to make sure you're on your target audience, but you're still keeping them interested. So when I see things like people getting chopped in half, but at the same time they're censoring out a lot of the blood in the warehouse scene, it makes me think, what is this series trying to do? Now, I don't even think this is at fault of the source material. I think this is the actual studio themselves. Now, what the studio have done is they've said, oh, okay, so we'll let this out, and we'll have this, and we've got people getting cut in half and that was really cool. I really appreciated that. But then they went in there and then they just censored that. It's like, if you're going to do one thing or another, be consistent about it, because it's not. There's one thing I hate more, and there's nothing I hate more than an inconsistent series. It really gets on my nerves. But nevertheless, don't think I'm being too critical, because I'm not. This looks like a fantastic series. It's over 24 eps, and that alone says that, more than a few people think this has got potential. And I think this is one that I will definitely keep watching, and I think you'll definitely keep seeing more reviews of it. And yeah, it'll be very good. I look forward to the series ahead. We've got 23 episodes to go now, and it's by White Fox, the guys who done Steins Gate. So even though this wasn't the best episode, I will say that it was still quite good. I enjoyed it. It gave me a reason to care. It gave me characters that I like. However, there was parts in it which I thought could have been better put in. Another thing that I would like to mention is that the way that they transition between scenes and things like that. Now, when we see that he finds out that that girl that he originally thought was really nice to her killed his best friend Sawyer, I think her name was, and he automatically goes over and kills her straight dead then. That was very cool, and I very much like that. There's no messing around, no, I don't think I can kill people, just straight dead. She got what she deserved, and that was good. However, the following scenes after that I felt were badly transitioned, and it should have been a bit more spaced out. As soon as he kills his friend, all of a sudden we have all this comedy, we have people throwing him over the shoulders and restraining him, and he's going, oh no, let me go. And literally 15 seconds ago, you just killed someone out of pure hatred and pure revenge and everything, and he was very angry, and now he's doing some comedic effect, and it just didn't feel like it was suitable. It didn't feel like it was, didn't have much tact to it. It more just felt like it wasn't very well done. And I think it still could have worked, and I think that in the future this will sort of be a bit of a mix, because as I said, this is still a shonen, and you've got to take into consideration, and shonen you have a lot of comedy, well not a lot of comedy, but you have to have some sort of comedy. I mean, you look at Bleach, you look at Naruto, One Piece, Fairy Tail, even Ippo and things like that, they all have some element of comedy in them, and it's good. It keeps the darker scenes, not too dark, and it keeps it just a well-rounded piece. But you've got to make sure you transition between them quite well, and I think that this, in some circumstances, it did, especially in the first part of the episode, but I felt that part in particular was not well done. Anyway, that's it for the review today. I hope you've enjoyed. Subscribe if you liked it. Suggestions or comments down below and what you think will happen for next episode. I'm going to keep these up, and as I quite enjoy this series. And yes, by no means don't think that I hate this series, because I don't. I just like to see series that are well done, and I think this has got great potential, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the season and others will bring like it. So yeah, that's all from me today, and bye.